Hello again. Bernie Miklasz with you on this Friday. Hope you're off to a good start to your weekend. I'm going to be watching some SLU basketball, some Mizzou basketball, and all kinds of other stuff as well. But let's talk about some Cardinals because I know there's a lot of stress out there. I understand it about the team's, what's the word? Horrible showing offensively in spring training. Now, listen, if those of you who follow me and even some of the comments I've put up in response to your comments under my YouTube channel videos. And thank you for subscribing to the Bernie Miklasz Show, by the way. What you'll know if you follow me is I'm kind of a spring training denier. I'm definitely a spring training denier. What I mean by that, whether it's offense or pitching, I don't overreact to great numbers. I don't overreact to poor numbers. And I don't care about the Cardinals' one-lost record. Now, let me explain why. In 2023, the Cardinals won the Grapefruit League. They had a 17-7 record with 5 ties. And, you know, they have a lot of ties in spring training. That's typical. Anyway, that 708 winning percentage was exceptional. Everybody was upbeat. As the Associated Press, the writer covering the team in spring training, as he wrote, quote, "The best spring record is a nice accomplishment given the Cardinals had 9 big league players miss extended time due to the World Baseball Classic. So the spring surge, at the very least, is a testament of the depth within the St. Louis organization." By the way, I'm not making fun of the writer, but I'm just telling you this is how some spring training records can be interpreted, whether they're relevant or not. So after that best in show record at the Grapefruit League and some really optimistic reports coming out of camp, the 2023 Cardinals went from they went from the happy talk to damnation talk. They lost 91 regular season games and had their worst record in a full season since 1990. In 2011, you know, the last time the Cardinals won the World Series, they had a losing record in spring training. And they were 29th among the 30 major league teams in runs scored that spring. Oh, no. Yeah, they looked really shaky down in Jupiter. But as it turned out, no worries. The 2011 Cardinals won the World Series and were an extremely entertaining team. See, that's why I don't get all steamed up about spring training. I always try to recommend, not that I'm a doctor or a good advisor, but I always try to recommend saving your joy or your frustration and anger for the regular season, because the real baseball gives us 6 months and 162 games of performances that really matter. So save the intensity of emotion for the regular season. Now, having said that, I will make a confession. It's easy for me to suggest that everybody should calm down over what we're seeing down in Jupiter with this offense. Yeah, calm down, settle down. It doesn't matter. Their spring training and I could go through all that again. But even I'm sitting here and kind of looking at these box scores every single day and looking at the statistics on the offensive side after every game. And I'm like, good grief, it's horrendous. It really is. And see, it's so horrendous that I'm suspending my rigid, almost defiant, level-headed attitude about spring training numbers while I'm not going to do the Chicken Little and declare the season over and that everyone will fail and all that stuff. I won't be doing that Chicken Little clucking. I must say, yeah, it would be nice to see the Cardinals generating some boom, some bam, some bang, and give us a reason to actually think this offense will not stink as much as it did in 2024. So it hasn't shifted my overall and long time feeling about spring trainings, but I understand why anybody out there, I totally get it, why this is upsetting or why this is becoming that kind of, oh no, are they going to do this again type of feeling as we watch this every day. With 13 days to go until the start of the regular season, I would like to see some of the team's key hitters heat up, build up some confidence, and feel good about their swings, all that stuff, as they move closer to the March 27 opener against the Twins at Busch Stadium. But the fan base, and again, I understand why. The fan base already is oozing lots of pessimism, because I'm probably pessimistic as well. Maybe not as pessimistic as some of you, but that's all right too. Because again, it doesn't matter. The real stuff starts on March the 27th, and we're going to get some answers. But the Fangraphs projection system has St. Louis winning 79 games and ranking 21st overall and 10th in the National League in runs per game. So if that's accurate, or even close to being accurate, this would be in line with last season's form. The Cardinals did win 83 games, but that was because of an exceptional bullpen that turned a record upside down. Based on run differential, the Cardinals should have been 76 and 86, but they won so many one-run games, and the bullpen was just so outstanding that instead of finishing what their deserved record should have been, 76 and 86, they were 83 and 79. But it has nothing to do with how awful the offense was. I mean, the 2024 Cardinals ranked 12th among the 15 National League teams in runs per game. They were 10th in OPS, 10th in total bases, 11th in slugging, 11th in walks, 12th in extra base hits, 12th in steals. And I don't have to tell you or remind you this, the 24 Cardinals were the National League's worst team in batting average, slugging percentage, and OPS when hitting with runners in scoring position. It was just a awful, awful job. So there's no way to put polish on something that bad and that boring offensively. As a matter of fact, 2024 was pretty much a continuation of 2023. When I combined the 23 and the 24 stats, put them together, over the two seasons, the Cardinals ranked 21st overall and 11th in the National League in average runs per game. So that's why I'm not going to be. By the way, what I say about how you should feel in spring training, it's 100% irrelevant. You're entitled to your feelings. I don't always have to agree with you. You don't always have to agree with me. It's okay. It's all good. But I can understand after 2 dog years offensively, and now you're seeing just another futile performance offensively in spring training. I can understand the feelings out there. I mean, we've already had a 2-season downturn offensively with Cardinals offense, and now they entered spring training for the first steps into 2025. And it's totally legit to scrutinize the offense, even criticize the offense. After last season's showing in particular, it's utterly ridiculous to dismiss that 24 season as some kind of weird outlier that was just kind of one of those deals. No, it wasn't. So that's why, I can't sit here, and nor do I ever intended to sit here and say, well, you just throw out 2024, everything's going to be fine. No, I don't feel that way at all. So that puts a little more emphasis on what we're seeing in spring training, because what we want, spring training or not, what we want in any form, wherever they're playing, whatever league they're playing, including the Grapefruit League, we're looking for signs of an uprising offensively, a sign that, okay, maybe things will be better. And even though it's only spring training, you'd like to see some spark. Isn't this supposed to be the annual baseball tradition, the spring training ritual? Optimism, feeling good about your team, looking at young guys doing this and veterans doing that, and people looking good down there, and you start to feel better about the team that you care about. But even then, or I could say, even though the meaningful accounting doesn't get underway until March 27th, the concerns about the offense, given all that's happened before now and what's happening now down there, the concerns about the offense are warranted. I mean, I'm just not going to sit here and be the jerk and tell everyone to settle down or whatever. If the Cardinals were coming off an above average season in 2024, then offensively I'm talking about, and then, sure, it would be easier to collectively shrug and say, well, it's just the spring. they were really good last year offensively, and they got most of the people back. So, but that's not the case. Yeah, they have most of the people back, and that's the point. You look, there's some important hitters down there really scuffling. Going into Friday, doesn't include anything that happens Friday. Mason Wynn was hitting 086 with a 29% strikeout rate. Nolan Gorman, 184 batting average, a very weak 321 slugging percentage, and a lot of strikeouts. Nolan Arenado hitting 133, Burleson hitting 200, Brendan Donovan hitting 120. Meanwhile, Jordan Walker has missed 10. Well, let me update that. 11, 12 days recovering from knee discomfort after he stepped into an outfield sprinkler during an exhibition game. Before the injury, Walker was hitting 153 with a 53% strikeout rate. And now he's lost all this time to get reps, to get spring training at bats, and he's going to be kind of rushing through that before the start of the regular season, which is 13 days from now, as I record this. Michael Ciani, supposedly in contention for the starting job in center field, he came into Friday with a 0.23 batting average and a 32% strikeout rate. Hey, I don't know if Ollie Marmol's going to be able to win this one, putting Ciani in center field instead of Victor Scott. Going into Friday, the Cardinals ranked last among the 30 teams in spring training with a 198 average. They were 29th in a bunch of categories, including on base percentage, slugging, OPS, spring training. It's really been dull. There's no other way to put it. I mean, they're either the worst offense or next to worst offense in all these categories. And see, spring training, among other things, it's not just about getting the players warmed up. It's about getting the fans warmed up. It's a marketing opportunity for the team. The offense looks good. Maybe some people be a little more positive, a little more enthusiastic about going into 2025. Well, when you have an offense that's been nothing but a dud this spring, I don't think it's going to inspire anyone to go online and buy more tickets or any tickets or subscribe to the direct-to-consumer streaming package being offered by the team this year for the first time. Now, look, I don't want to make this a one-sided video that doesn't, all it does is like stress the negative without acknowledging some positives. If we're going to focus on the bad so much, and let's face it, there's been a lot of bad down there offensively for the Cardinals. I think it's only fair to look at the good as well. I think you maintain credibility if you do that. So with that in mind, several hitters are looking swell down there in Jupiter so far, including Victor Scott II, Wilson Contreras, Ivan Herrera, Lars Nootbaar, Luke Baker, Matt Krapaniak. Jose Barrero has strengthened his bid for a utility spot. I think he's going to get it because he can play shortstop, play the infield. He can also play in the outfield and especially center field. Barrero is having a spring where he's hitting 286, got a 951 OPS. That might be misleading. That may not be close to the ultimate reality. But if you're going to note all the bad offensive performance, I think it's okay to say, well, it's good to see a guy trying to make the team do so well. That's all I'm saying. Listen, if the Cardinals break from the regular season gate with a rush of offense, it'll calm some of the anxiety. We won't be looking back so much at spring training, but that's if they break from the regular season gate with a rush of offense. Not predicting that's going to happen. We just don't know. But if the Cardinals lurch from the gate and they stall out, those springtime concerns will have some validation. And I say at least some validation. And why I'm saying at least some validation, it isn't because I'm hedging. It's just knowing that it's a long 162 game season and all of the strengths and the weaknesses will be revealed along the way. And when that happens, the spring training numbers they just go poof. They don't matter as much because we get the real games and the real performances to analyze at that point. That said, because there is a that said, right? I think it's really important for the Cardinals to get out to a good start in 2025. As you recall, last year they were 15-24 in their first 39 games, 15-24 in their last 39 games. And That was a big ditch to climb for the Cardinals. Even though the Cardinals went 68-55 after that, it was enough. It was not enough to lift them into a playoff spot. They never fully recovered from the damage caused by that slow start. And here's the most relevant part of this. The St. Louis offense was the number one reason by far, not even close, the number one reason by far for this terrible, horrible launch to the 24 season. Over the first 39 games, the Cardinals hit 194 with runners in scoring position, worst in the majors. In the first 39 games, they ranked 28th or worse in the majors in runs scored, overall batting average, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS, and home runs. With their hitters producing a skimpy average of 3.3 runs per game, the Cardinals scored 3 runs or fewer 25 times in the first 39 games. No more than 3 runs scored 25 times out of the first 39 games. And I don't have to tell you what the record was in those games. Okay, I will tell you. With all of those low-scoring games from the offense, in those 25 games, 3 runs or less, the Cardinals were 6-19. So knowing all of that, it was no surprise to see the Redbirds do what they did, which is to stagger out and win only 15 of their first 39 tests of the season. 385 winning percentage. The offense was just missing. It was missing in action for the most part. I mean, there was no there. Well, not much there anyway. Well, along those lines, the Cardinals cannot afford to teeter and wobble and wallow and fall around and stumble around and trip and wheeze. Put your own word in there. They can't afford that again early in the 25 season, because it just, they're going to have enough of a challenge to if they're going to really try to have a winning season or whatever, or surprise or whatever, or be entertaining or whatever. It's a 162 games season, but it's in their best interest to come out and sort of back up all of the spring training happy talk within camp. Oh, we're going to be better than people think. Oh, we're like lions. We can't wait to just tear into this. And all these people that doubt us, we're going to be entertaining. We're going to be exciting. We think we can make the playoffs. And listen, man, they should be optimistic. They're the players. They're the managers. They're the coaches. They're the front office. I get it. Again, that's a springtime ritual. But if they want people to buy into even a remote possibility that this will happen, they're going to have to come out swinging the bats, but also swinging and connecting with pitches and hitting doubles and triples and home runs and driving in runs when you have runners in scoring position, all that good stuff they haven't been doing much of the last couple of years. Listen, I think this offense has some potential based on the track records of individuals. Now, before you crank up the nasty messages, the nasty comments, oh, there's Bernie. No, I don't. Well, Bernie, you don't realize this offense will be terrible. Just hear me out. Hear me out. There is some reason for hope based on the potential. Wilson Contreras has been the 10th best right-handed hitter in the majors over the last 2 seasons, performing at a rate that's 33% above league average offensively. Nolan Gorman, Jordan Walker, brutal in 2024. It wasn't that long ago in 2023 that Gorman and Walker, for their age especially, put up good numbers. Alec Burleson was a new guy last season, the first 4.5 months, and then he faded because he started swinging at everything that wasn't thrown six miles over his head. He got into bad habits, and his performance declined accordingly. Brendan Donovan and Lars Nootbaar have each been 16% above league average offensively over the last 3 seasons. With Newt, we know it's just a matter of him playing 140 games rather than, say, 100 games, right? Ivan Herrera can hit. Victor Stott's got talent and potential, exciting potential. Lucan Baker can wallop left-handed pitching. And according to John Denton of MLB.com, he's improved, meaning Baker has improved his bat speed. That's always welcome news. The Baseball Prospectus Pacoda system, believe it or not, forecast Nolan Arenado. They forecast a 12% improvement offensively from last year. This is not my forecast. I'm relaying what Baseball Prospectus is projecting. So that's why I say, please understand what I'm trying to say here. I'm not predicting any of this. I'm not predicting hell. I'm not predicting heaven. I'm just pointing out that there is at least some potential for improvement based on what a lot of these hitters have done in the fairly recent past. On the other hand, we can look at this group of hitters, just about all of them, and say, well, there's a lot of reasons for pessimism as well, which is why it gets back to the beginning. The regular season is going to tell us. We can all sit here and come up with our theories about how bad they'll be or why they'll be better than everybody thinks. The lectures back and forth go on and on and on, and that's all. It's all right. Discussion is fun. Spring training is fun. Getting a sense of what your team is fun. But for the Cardinals to have a solid or better offense in 2025, many of these hitters are going to have they're going to need to have those best case scenario seasons offensively, and they're going to have to avoid the worst case scenario performances offensively. And what are the odds of that, right? I would think they're going to hit better with runners in scoring position this year, but then again, I don't see how they could be any worse. There's only one way the arrow is going to go is up, because it's at the bottom going into this year based on last season. So we're going to start the process of getting those answers and finding out more in less than 2 weeks when it's time to play real baseball. But yeah, I will concede happily. Well, maybe not happily, but I will concede without a fuss that all of those low batting averages in Jupiter are causing a lot of high anxiety back home in St. Louis or wherever Cardinals fans live. That's going to do it for today, and I appreciate you all very much. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend. I may actually pop up at some point this weekend. I never did discuss the Phil Maton signing. I thought it was a good move. And very briefly, let me just give you my overview. It was a good move. And normally you would hear me hollering about, well, they signed an older reliever, and that means that a younger reliever is not going to get an opportunity and all that. And normally, in a different set of circumstances, I would actually holler about that. But, last season, the Cardinals had one of the best bullpens in their franchise history, at least since the opening of the expansion era in 1961. I verified that statistically across a lot of different categories. It was just one of the best bullpens they've ever had in modern times, right? And despite the fact that that bullpen was really good, you might be surprised to learn. I was a little surprised to see the number that they used 20 different relief pitchers last season. And the point is they had depth. And the point is that anybody down at Memphis who was doing a commendable job, a respectable job, got a chance to pitch in the big leagues last season. So my point is they could use a guy like Phil Maton, and don't worry about his velocity or his strikeout rate. He's got one of the best spinning curveballs in the majors. It's got a cutter that he developed to go against left-handed batters, and that's effective. And his 3 best pitches last season, all 3 of them, the opponents hit less than 200 against them. He gets a lot of soft contact. See, we've gotten so carried away with emphasis on strikeouts and velocity that I think an appreciation of the art of actual pitching has gotten lost along the way. And so the reason why I'm praising the Phil Maton, I always mispronounce his names, Maton signing, is they could use a veteran like that. This guy's been around. He's got a great rep within the game. And I know those young relievers will enjoy spending innings down in the bullpen talking to him about a lot of things that have to do with the relief pitching. So And some of the younger relievers who will not make the club, listen, the Cardinals and every team will be going through a lot of relievers in 2025. And my point being, quality depth is not a bad thing. It is a good thing. So no, I normally have no problem like sounding off about something like this, but in this case, they could use this veteran reliever, and we'll see how it goes. A lot of work for bullpen guys, no matter where they begin the season, right? All right, I'm going to shut up now, I promise. So you got a little 2-for-1 there. Little relief pitching update. Once again, thank you and have a great weekend.